Now, a former soldier who offered a homeless man a cigarette in the street has ended up finding his long-lost brother. Roy Aspinall, who's 36, always knew he had a younger brother somewhere, but he'd last seen him as a newborn baby in a pram 25 years ago. Roy was brought up by his aunt, and then a family split meant that he never saw his little brother again. At least that was the case until this November, and a chance meeting in a graveyard in Wigan. Roy had just left a remembrance service when he spotted a homeless man in the corner of the churchyard. He says something about the homeless man's features made him start asking questions. And amazingly, he'd just found his younger brother, Billy. Within minutes, Roy asked Billy to leave the streets and come and stay at his home, and now they can have a proper family Christmas. It's a really lovely story, and we've got both of them, both Roy and Billy, down the line, the undersea cable, in Salford. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, Jeremy.
Let me start with you, Billy, if I can. So you were homeless and you were sitting on a wall, were you?
Yeah, I was just waiting for it to go dark, so someone would get me head down for that.
And you'd been homeless for how long?
Just over 12 months.
So, and was that as a result of losing a job, or?
No, it was a result as in I messed up in my relationship with my partner, so since then I was on the streets, really. I had nowhere else to go. I don't have much family that I could have turned to. And I definitely didn't know I knew he was about, I just didn't know where he was or whether he was still alive or anything like that.
And so this particular day in November found you in a graveyard in Wigan?
It was lucky I was there, actually, because I did go around when they was all out, all the army soldiers and the veterans and all that were all around there putting the poppies down. But I chose to move out the road because there was just too many people for me, later on, I did go back when it was a bit more quieter, I was either going to get my head down there or I was going to go somewhere else. I was just waiting, and then all of a sudden, I met this gentleman who come over. It turned out to be my brother.
Okay, so Roy, you were what brought you to the graveyard?
I was just returning home, to be honest with you. I went back down to the church parish church in Wigan just to take a couple of more photos, and in the corner of my eye I see the gentleman on the wall, an homeless gentleman on the wall. My first initial was facial features, but I thought, what's the odds of that happening? Unbelievable.
So you had a thought that this might be a relation of yours, did you?
That was a thought, yeah, but it was just a poke in the dark, if I'm honest with you. It was just a chance of, I thought, I'll go over and ask, how is it, really?
So you walked over, and how did the interaction start?
Well, I walked over, and the best way I could use was to use a cigarette and ask the gentleman, does he smoke and would he like one? He agreed with that. That's felt weird. Yeah, and we was just having an initial chat as to, why you're here, and, has things not gone well for you, because it's kind of a role I do for Heads Place Recruitment Centre for the veterans. And that was it. The facial features, the way he was looking at me, was just kept firing questions in my own head that I had to ask.
So, Billy, when you were being asked these questions, were you thinking, why is he asking me all this?
I was wondering why some stranger. I thought he was a weirdo at first. I just thought, why is just some random coming over asking me these questions? You know what I mean? It turned from finding out why I was where I was at that time, being homeless and everything like that, to just all of a sudden asking me questions about my family and who's my sister and who's my mum and all that. So I felt that was a bit weird at first, and I have a problem with things like that where I lock up, but I felt within myself that I felt more secure, if you know what I mean. I felt I already knew in myself anyway. And then as the questions went along and more things were said from him and me, we found out that we were brothers.
And at what moment, Roy, did you ask the key question that made you think, oh my goodness me?
Well, there was just so many questions, but it started off, I asked him his name, with him saying Billy White. It was just too of a coincidence in my own head of William White as a memory. And then as we went on, I asked his mother's name, which he then confirmed that in my head without me saying anything. So that was whoa, this is getting a bit nervous now. And then the last question I asked was about his brothers and sisters.
and he said, yeah, there's Liz, Jane, Jennifer and Ben. And it was just like, wow, okay then. So then I only met a sister of mine at the beginning of this year due to my children on Facebook. So I rang her up and I said, listen, there's this guy here and he's got all the right answers. Can you please confirm? And she went, wow, it can't be. I've not seen him for over 15 years myself. It can't be. But put him on the phone anyway. And once I passed the phone up, Billy started to shed a few tears, talking to his sister again, and I was there to be part of that, and it was just so emotional.
Incredible.
So emotional.
And so remind us then how you two were separated initially. How did that happen, Billy?
Well, I wasn't born when Roy was born. I only know with what Mum's told me myself, like that it was took at a young age off her dad himself and given to her sister due to the fact of how young my mum was, and other situations like they used to pick on my mum. They all used to bully her, really, you know what I mean, and just hit her and stuff like that. And then she said they took him. And ever since that, I don't really know what went on, really. She always spoke about him, let him know that he was her brother, and the situation, what they was like, because they're all against us for some reason.
Yeah.
Which I don't know, and I can't explain that, but it's...
But so, Roy, you were brought up by your aunt, and for some reason your aunt and your mother just didn't have much of a connection.
No, not at all.
So in that case, you lost track of the children your mother went on to have, and that included Billy.
Yes, because I was brought up with a lie after a lie, if I'm honest with you, and I was always told that who I was believed to be my cousins and an auntie was bad people. The children were bad, the adults are bad, everything's bad, and I was always removed from a family member's home. When the faces showed up while I was there, I was taken home, took out the way. If I was already there and then people showed up, I was then taken home. Did you get what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a consistent pattern.
And in this conversation, this amazing conversation where you're suddenly realising, which one of you realises first that you're brothers?
I think we more or less did it at the same time. Once Billy had hold of my phone, talking to his sister, and then I made this happen. You know, being a part of that. I know it's not much, but for me as an individual, it was so wow.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You don't need the lottery. This'll do me.
It's still not fully explainable now.
We do still struggle to put it in an exact right context.
Do you give each other a hug, or
definitely?
We're still doing it now, my friend. We're in this bog hugging away.
Yeah.
Oh, so how do you feel, Billy? Because you sit in that graveyard and you meet your brother. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. It was a bit weary at first, like, because I didn't know. But once I found out, I fully secured it with seeing his birth certificate and that, like, because I was still a bit iffy afterwards, even though we knew we was brothers and that. But I still had that full understanding. How we really like, because I couldn't get onto the features of him, you know what I mean, him saying the finger. I could see he's got dimples like we all have, you know what I mean, but I couldn't get onto the full features. And then when I seen my mum's name on his birth certificate, that's when it fully secured, and since then it's been amazing, and everything's going forward as such.
This is fantastic as well that it's genuinely a greght story, because you two are now, Billy, you're living in Roy's house, is that right?
Through living it with Roy and going to Ed's homes, they've given me a lot of support. Roy himself's given me a lot of support. I've managed to get into employment.
Fantastic.
I have only over the last few days managed to get my own 2-bedroom flat. So I've got my own home now.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And but it's like I don't want to move out, you know. I know I've got my own place, but I don't want to move out.
You've got to have Christmas together in the same house.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Roy, that'll be amazing, won't it?
Yes, we've got 3 Christmas dinners lined up already.
Yeah. And I've never had one for a good 16 years of my life. I've never had a Christmas dinner or had that Christmas family thing, you know what I mean? And I'm well looking forward to it this year.
Well, we're doing plenty of pictures and plenty of videos for our name on Facebook now, which becomes #2brothers.
Yeah.
Okay, so, that's great.
people can follow on if they wish to.
2 is TWO, is it, or the
Yeah,
digit
TWO,
2?
yeah.
Okay, fine. 2 brothers, hashtag fine. And I guess you've also discovered other family through this, which for you, Billy, must be wonderful.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've met parts of family that I never ever knew that existed, which is our Royce kids.
Yep.
Yeah, I've met his ex-partner and everything like that, and he's met my kids. I'm at the minute I'm currently fighting for one of my children, which is Caden. I've been in court today. I've got his full support behind me on that, which is a lot of help, you know what I mean, and everything's going in the right direction for us at the minute.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, which I'm glad of, really, because that's my number one goal is family. You know what I mean. You can't live life without family, and I've had to live the majority of my life without a family. You know what I mean. And now I've got it, I'm not letting it go.
Thank you so much. Honestly, happy Christmas, both. It's a lovely story. It's beautiful.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Have a wonderful time with the 3 Christmas dinners. What about that? It's Roy Aspinall, 36-year-old former soldier, went to talk to a homeless man he saw in a graveyard, offered him a cigarette. Turned out the man was his brother, long-lost brother, Billy White. Billy's moved into Roy's house temporarily, got his own place now, life turning around. There's no downside at all here, is there?